Good morning, everyone. Welcome to American Scousers Morning Coffee or Tea with American Scouser on a Monday morning. And Grumpy is here. And it is Grumpy because I'm definitely grumpy because I woke up at freaking 6 in the morning. I know you're a couple of hours away, but I'm sure I don't know if you woke up too, but the ridiculous storms and the boys don't handle the storms really well. So I have to drag my butt downstairs at like 6 in the morning after pretty much going to bed at like 2 in the morning anyway. So a little crabby, a little crabby. What's happening with you?
I don't know if we got the same kind of storms, to be honest, because I didn't hear much of it. But I am a heavy sleeper. But I'm doing okay. I'm insanely, embarrassingly sore from this weekend. I went to a bachelor party and we played paintball. And man, I'll tell you, running around for 3 hours in long sleeves in 92-degree weather, it hurts. It hurts.
I bet it does because we were actually in Milwaukee yesterday at the German Fest. And so, it's a lot of ridiculous heat and humidity with some Germanish food, I guess. It was fun with like Jasmine, Layla, and their boyfriends and stuff like that. So it was fun and everything, but it was hot as hell. So I can't imagine running around in long sleeves because walking around in short sleeves with like a cold beer in hand was tricky. So I can't imagine for 3 hours.
Yeah, we played for 3 hours. It was better than actually getting hit on the skin with some of the paintballs because some of the guys that wore shorter sleeves, their welts were pretty bad. So okay, I got one in the neck. You probably can't see it too well, but I got hit in the neck and in the knee and in the back, and that's probably my worst ones. But there were many guys who got off much worse than I
Did
did.
you win? That's what matters at the end of the day.
Does anyone win?
No, not
Does
everybody.
anyone lose?
No, they don't.
Well, we mixed up the teams every time, so there were like four different fields.
Ah,
So we would go
lame.
from field to field. Well, the host was the one who was picking the teams and setting us up with different game modes and stuff. So it was fun, but we definitely all lost. Actually, the loser, I will say, the loser was definitely the groom and his brother, because at one point they had them do what's called a gauntlet, and essentially you have to run from one end of the field to the other and back while the rest of us are just standing there taking free shots at you as you run back there and back. Sort of like a, hey, congrats on getting married, here's your treat,
Yeah,
getting
that's like
shot with
the most
these
dangerous
paintballs.
game. Like, just let them out there and people hunt them down.
Yeah, so that they were, I think they were the losers. They got hit pretty bad a few times, but other than that, I think everyone else were pretty happy.
Thursday, Alan, Tony, and Gally's here too. Crab too much on a Monday. Yes, it's only gonna get worse, I would think. But Hassan is here as well. Good morning to everybody. Hey, if you're hopping on live, don't forget hit the thumbs up early. The earlier, the better, kind of a thing. But yeah, it was like okay. Let me ask you this: Turkish Polish. Speaking of, hey, what's going on, man? And Saidu is in the house. Okay, let me ask you this because we were talking about this yesterday. So at the German
Oh boy.
Fest. So as somebody who's Polish, right? Which both boyfriends has Polish background and stuff. But because we talk a lot about obviously anybody who watches the Monday morning show knows we talk a lot about food over here. So there was a stand for like döner, so like Turkish, like euro, but they hadn't even named like döner, so it's like legit that way, right? Do you put as a Polish person, if there's a pierogi stand, okay, do you put a lot of stock in who's serving the pierogies or who's making the pierogi?
Oh man. I think that's a good question. And I will have to say maybe a little bit yes. Only because I know that if there is a pair of 70-year-old grandmothers back there making those things, those will be the best pierogi you will ever have in your damn life. Not to say that it wouldn't be good if someone else was making, because I think, because like let's be honest, in this country, majority of our cook force is made up of immigrants, right? And a lot of immigrants from Mexico specifically, right? So I think, seeing that they would be good, but if you have the Polish grandmothers back there. There's no beating that. There's no chance you could find anyone that beats that.
Okay, that's like the ideal scenario. But okay, the reason I'm asking is so there's a doner thing there, and I was like, how legit is it though? So, and I sent Layla to kind of like, like scoop it out in the background, kind of like who's in the back kind of a deal. Because, I was hoping it was some Turkish people who relocated to Germany back in the day kind of thing. Like my aunts, like for example, like my uncle, they moved to Germany back in the day where Germany didn't have any men left after the World War, so they took a lot of people from like Turkey and stuff to rebuild the industry and stuff. So they were like over there. So there's a lot of people like that. So I was hoping, like they would be doing that, but Layla came back and she's like thumbs down because they just did not fit the overall profile. And I don't want to like stereotype. See, like while that says we have Indians running fish and chip shops, just not same. And it's the stereotype. It might not be. It might be the best fish and chips. It might have been the doner looked semi legit. First of all, the pricing was out of whack, but the doner looked semi legit. But like when there's no Turkish looking dude back there or Middle Eastern looking dude back there, I'm like, how legit is it though? So I like passed on it. So I was wondering if it was just me stereotyping. Like you don't want to go to a sushi place, for example, right? And I had Turkish guy making your sushi, for example.
He's gonna put Euro meat in there. That doesn't belong there.
Actually, that sounds interesting.
Another fusion restaurant we're gonna open up this summer.
There you go.
To bounce off of
Dude,
last year's
pierogi in a sushi. I can't even picture it, but it sounds good.
Well, it depends on what flavor or what filling inside.
It's like a Turkish person running an American. Touche. But see, I think it helps. And I still get called a Yank. I think it helps because, when we said American Scouser, it wasn't about being American because this dude is Polish. I'm Turkish. Mecca is Irish. Anan is from all over the place. Who else do we have who's international? I mean, Barack has like 85 passports and stuff. So
I'd say Galley because New England's a different kind of breed.
They got their own country and stuff. Mustafa is here. Good morning, sir. How's it going over there? And yeah, I think it's like yeah, I know what he's saying, but that was the whole point. See, like that's done on purpose, the Turkish guy running the show over here. So we're not like get called Yanks, but even then, can't protect you guys. So let me get to this real quick before we really get into a lot of like Liverpool stuff, which we will. And yeah, if you're watching us, hit that thumbs up. It's going great. We already have 50. Actually, we have like 50 viewers right now. 15 of them just on YouTube. So yeah, if you hit the thumbs up, it does go a long way. I do want to talk about this so that you guys can help me really spread the word on this because we are putting in a lot of time and efforts into getting things set up. Just this weekend, and I know you're actually setting up the silent auction later on today. There's some really, really cool items there. There's like 5 jerseys. We have a signed alley glove. Bunch of like stuff donated like from authors like George Sefton, Jeff Golding, like autographed books and stuff like that. So a lot of good stuff. But one of the things we did add, this is just one of them. There's 3 different designs there. I will shoot the link as well. So there's 3 different designs there for the 23 Foundation fundraiser. Obviously, there's our regular stuff. Merch, as John, the young generation, calls it, is on there as well, the American Scouser stuff. But most importantly, this stuff is on there, so you can purchase it. All the profits go directly to this fundraiser. There's also an option to be able to like donate extra. So if you're willing to do that, if you're able to do that, that's great. Otherwise, you just hooked yourself up with a great shirt and helped a good cause. And there's even an option, which we were thinking of doing this the other way around, but there's an option where if you do purchase it and purchase the add-on during the podathon, we all us 3 bozos will sign it, and you'll have like the autograph shirt signed by all 3 bozos. So there's also that. We were actually thinking, who the hell wants our signatures? It might be better where we say, if you pay, we won't sign it. If you don't pay, we'll freaking sign it and ruin your shirts. kind of a
I was
thing.
going to say this is the only time where autographs actually devalue an item rather than make it more valuable.
Oh man, you know what the funny thing is? One of the things actually we do have is the a jersey from yeah, see, like Mustafa wants one. Go ahead to the link and you can purchase one there. It is for the fundraiser for the Jamie Carragher 23 Foundation. But one of the jerseys is actually a signed Diaz jersey, which now will be probably even more valuable in some ways because Diaz is pending a medical. I think at this point, it's a done deal that he is going there. Where are you with that? I mean, we talked about obviously in the past when the rumors were out, but are you happy with the amounts? Are you happy with the overall business done there?
I think amount wise, you have to be ecstatic about the money that they were able to get for him, especially since paying for him as well. Oh man,
Nothing like a good
I
old
thought,
Nunez hate on a Monday
yeah,
morning.
it only took 11 minutes and 20 seconds to get there this time. I mean, maybe we can break the record next week. But I think value wise, it's fantastic, especially for what they paid for Diaz and then what they got for him. When you think about buying someone at 23, 24 years old, selling them at 28 years old, you typically don't see that much of a progression of value to get. Like, sure, you might break
Yeah.
even, but to get 35 plus on that investment was really good. And the guy leaves with 4 trophies, right? And a lot of great memories. I think the one thing that will maybe miss, but that we appreciate the most was always the work ethic. Even the whole preseason and being in Hong Kong, like just being professional all the way through, I think is a really
Yeah.
important point too, because there was he could have, and we could talk this. Fans could talk about this too. Um, the fact that he didn't sit out the tour like Isak, I think is a big thing. And while I would love the idea of Isak coming to Liverpool, and I know it. I said myself it wasn't going to happen a couple weeks ago. Things have changed, obviously. There's got to be something said about the character and how you go about that kind of business, because I think I really respect Lucho for still going on the tour, still being there day in day out, competing the way he always has.
Yeah.
And then doing it until the final day. Like yesterday, they were taking pictures for social media. He was still part of everything. I think Paul Joyce tweeted earlier today that he said goodbyes to all the teammates and staff just today. But even up until yesterday, he was part of everything, and he made sure to do that professionally. So I do really respect that, and I think it's a good move for him financially. I don't know if it's the best career move necessarily, but with Musiala out, I mean, he might be a bigger part of that attack. So I think all in all, it was a good move for both ends. It's one of those mutually happy endings, I think, where we got a lot out of it, he gets a lot out of it, and in the middle, there was a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, looking at the value and stuff like that and how much you're getting, I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer, like you said, for all parties involved. Maybe except this party over here. Ozan says I was chatting to some Bayern fans last night, and they're not happy with the price they've paid for Lucho. And I can kind of see that. I can kind of see them saying we a little overpaid, knowing the writing was on the wall in terms of like with the wages that we're not signing an extension and stuff like that. So I think the whole Musiala thing probably adds to that. Not a lot of others left in the market for less. Like if they went for Rodrigo, it's going to be even more money and stuff like that. They probably did not want to spend. So uh, I can see why some of the Bayern fans would not be too thrilled with the amount because we're thrilled with the amount, right? If the seller is thrilled with the amount, you can kind of see the buyer maybe not as much, but it's a good deal for him. I mean, honestly, I feel like this is like totally different where he was here, he did his thing, he won. And really, we talked about it. We got a lot of crap for it, it's like on social media, but he was underpaid when compared to his peers, because that's the way to compare it. Everybody's like 50,000. I must be doing something wrong and stuff like that. Well, you're not. Yeah, you must be doing something wrong. You're not a professional player playing for Liverpool. So I mean, that's different. You got to compare him to his peers, not to the dude in the next cubicle over. So when you look at that, I think he was being underpaid. And so he gets his money. The club earns a ton of money. Like you said, there's a lot of good stuff within those years over there for both sides involved. So it's a win-win-win. I mean, if people, you know what the worst thing was though? Like this came out, and then we drove to Milwaukee, and they do it where they do the summer fest. So there's all these different like music things being played on, and they were playing the Diaz song. Like literally, as we were like standing there, I was like, "Oh man, another great song." I mean, they weren't singing, doing the Diaz song, but they were doing the song, and I was singing the Diaz version of it in my head. So, but I was like, "Damn, another great song gone."
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm like, "Holy cow, another great song gone." I felt the same way when Bobby was gone too. I was like, "Damn, another good song gone." Best Lucho memory.
Oh, best Lucho memory. Um, it's for some reason, because maybe I watched it over and over so many times. The dribble that he had against City, where he took it down 60 yards. But that's also a painful memory because when you think about the chance that he missed that same game that
Yes.
he got from Mo. So if I just don't think about that part of it, then that memory is really good. But I think, man, there were a lot of good times with Lucho, and selfishly, this was sort of like a movie show like fantasy where we'd come out first game against Bournemouth, he'd score the first goal, and he'd hold up Jota's jersey the same Jota held up Diaz's jersey when his dad was kidnapped. And in my head, it was like that would be the most perfect cinematic movie
Yeah.
like beginning to any season ever. And now we can't get that necessarily, but I feel like that would have been a moment that we would have really liked. So I do also think, man, I'm trying to think about what else. What about you? What comes to your mind?
I was gonna go with what Ozan is saying. I don't know, because it was cool because we were all together. It was in the face of my brother, who's a United fan. I mean, there's a lot of great factors that, but I think I'm gonna go with that game right there. Uh, Chelsea in the League Cup final, says Galley. Um, that's interesting too. But like to me, I don't know why. If it is because of, we were all together. It was the American Scouts or petting zoo at the time. Like I say, my brother was there to be able to rub it in his face as we're all celebrating. And a huge win. And honestly, that was, well, we found out later it really wasn't, but that was at the time when we had a good start to the season and everybody was like, "Oh, they haven't played anybody yet." That was the first game of like announcing to the league, like, "Hey, this is serious over here," because obviously we went into the season with like low expectations, new manager, no signings and stuff like that. So I think that was the first game, you know, regardless of how crappy. I mean, I realized we found out afterwards that United is really crappy, but still going to Old Trafford and winning is tricky, like regardless. So the only player to score a hat trick for us since Salah, really. Which, like the Leverkusen game? That's the only hat trick I can think of for him. Michael is here. Good morning, sir. Moneyball decision. I think so. I mean, it is a Moneyball decision, but it's good for the player as well. It's not like, like he was really trying to stick around and like we sold him just to make money off of him. We were not going to give him what he wants, which was higher wages, and I can see why we didn't. So I think it was like fair going on. I think we lost Matush, or you're really deep in thought because you got frozen over there. 2 goals away against United. Yeah, that's where I'm at too. Like I say, maybe because of like the game itself, but we'll be watching him in the Champions League as well. That, yeah, I think so. Like I say, it's a good move for him too, man. Like, it's gotta be like happy for all parties involved, I think, at the end of the day. So yeah, man. I mean, we talked about it a lot in the past too. That was the first time the whole Lucho in the middle experiment was being done. And I think, the fact that he got a hat trick that game, it was like, okay, this is something that we can work with over there. And I think, he's done a lot of sacrifice and in terms of like shifting to the middle from his left wing position instead of Gakpo, because Gakpo could not really do it as well or did not want to do it. They had the Dutch connection, whatever it was, but Lucho was the one to do it. And he got a lot of crap for like when he wasn't effective and stuff, even though he played out of position. So I don't think anybody will like view this like view him in a bad light. I just don't see how you would. I really don't. In terms of like what he's done, his efforts. I mean, we always joked around like how he would suddenly start dribbling from the left and end up next to Mo and stuff like that. It was one of those like sometimes I start dribbling and I don't know where I'm going kind of a deal. But man, his like work rates and stuff like that. While you were frozen over there, I figured we lost you. But I'm thinking, Mateusz, like there's no way anybody can have any negative thoughts about his overall time here or how he left and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of like an overall positive experience for everybody involved.
Yeah, and I think we talked about it maybe last week or 2 weeks ago, where he's just a player who loves being on the pitch. You know, grew up playing the sport, and that's all he ever wanted to do was play the sport. And you could see that that's where he feels most comfortable. That's where he feels at home, is when he's on the field and just with the ball at his feet. And it says something about his character. It says something about his work ethic, his determination, just everything that he has done at the club has just been professional. Every sort of behind the scenes video you'd see, he was always, always smiling, always around everyone else. So just seemed like a really good team guy and just a really good professional, a good employee of the club. And I think Bayern are going to be very happy with that part of it. Now, I don't know if they'll be necessarily happy with how much they spent if things don't go too well for the next couple of years. But all in all, they're at least going to get a professional who is going to be there to play. You know, he's not going there for a vacation. He's still going to bust his ass. He's going to play hard every week, and I think they'll really appreciate that. I think it's that. If anything, when you think of German football, you think of work rate, right? So I think they're going to really appreciate it.
I think he will do well over there too. Like I think he will have like like good numbers as a Bayern player and stuff like that. I expect that. I mean, because like I say, I mean, obviously, clearly, he's a very very good footballer. He's a bit more. I don't want to say like a free spirit because that's not really what I'm like going after, but he's like a freestyle, I guess is probably a better word for it, like the way he plays. But I think even then he had like great discipline to like do the defensive work and stuff like that as a left winger. So just as a drama of his parents being kidnapped will always be the saddest memory of him. Honestly, like that was more of like a surreal thing than anything else because like you don't get that. You just don't get that. So it was just like, it wasn't like a normal, oh, he had like a, when somebody's away from the team, it's like, oh, they had a kid or something like that. It was just so surreal that it would just like not make sense. I just want to get is that Piroshki? Is that what it is? I think that's totally.
That looks like it's a different language. That does not look like something I would eat.
Ouch. That hurts. I know what he's trying to say though. But that was like a thing a couple of months ago. I think he's talking about those Polish donuts. I think. I hope he's not trying to say pierogi because that would be really bad.
Yeah. He made a lot harder on himself if he did.
Yeah. I don't know. I think he said that, by the way, but I don't know if I'm buying that. I think he was just like one of those, like, we're happy with the guys here. If you ask that, Eminem is happy too, but
it's hard to be happy with someone who isn't available, though, right? I mean, that's been the tough thing with Gomez over the last couple of years. Is we love him and we appreciate his versatility and what he brings, but he just, if he can't be available, it's hard to continue to invest your time into him.
Kevin says the Bayern will be a good team to watch this year. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, like Bayern will be there at the end and stuff. Their problem was more like defensive than anything else, I thought, last year. But I mean, for them, it's kind of like Champions League or bust for the most part. But no, he's not. He's not. So let's not get excited. It's for your information, it's Yim, not Tim. But yeah, I don't think that was getting any closer. Let's go to that. I guess like what might happen this week, but will it be like Gahey obviously is still out there and it looks like a matter of time, but I'm not sure. Kevin, you should be giving us insights actually in terms of like when this is happening, if it is happening and stuff like that. But Isak, Gahey, etc. What do you man? Dude, if that was supposed to be pierogi spelling, that was like not even in the ballpark to the fact that I thought it was something else you were trying to say. And you have to Google the pierogi part, I'm assuming.
First letter was right. Man, okay, Gahey. I don't know how we can talk about Gahey and Isak when all I want is pierogi now, so that's tough.
But
yeah, look, I am
a pierogi made by like 70-year-old grandmas in the background,
or by my mother. You know, there's that one too. So you can't leave out moms.
What makes those pierogies better than a pierogi I'm gonna do? For example, just put the stuff in there and fold it. Am I right?
Well, what's the same way that why is my kebab
I know.
gonna be any worse than yours? I'm just gonna put it on a stick anyway.
As a Polish person, when you look at a pierogi, you're like, this is that real stuff. What makes you say this is the real stuff in a pierogi?
Well, it's about what's on the inside, not on the outside. That's what matters in life, everyone.
That's
what's on the inside, not on the outside.
Ozan says secret sauce. I don't know about that, but I mean, what do you mean what's inside? It's like a potato one. It's potato.
Yeah, the way the filling is made. I mean, you can't.
Oh, okay.
But there's certain ways you can season a potato because it's usually potato and cheese. There's ways that you can mix it together. There's different, like especially if you do different meats or if you do dessert ones, how you make the inside. It can look ugly on the outside, but if it still tastes good, then that's the most important part.
What is a dessert pierogi, by the way? Because I always see Nutella, but I feel like that's a little Americanized version of it. Is there like a dessert pierogi with something else in it?
So usually fruit, so like blueberries or strawberries,
anything
fruit related is what I consider a dessert pierogi. Because then you do like a fruit sauce on top of it as well, like a blueberry syrup sauce that you make or a strawberry sauce or something like that.
Damn, yeah, you might end the show over here and go have breakfast. That sounds good, actually. That sounded good, and I'm not usually like a cooked fruits kind of wild that says still potatoes and cheese. No. See? No, spices and the type of cheese and all that kind of stuff. It's little things, but if you have something that you're like very familiar with, and that's like goes back to the whole dinner thing over there, like having lamb in there and all that kind of stuff, and what they put in the sandwich itself. It's almost like I always make fun of Angie because she like does her tacos more like American style, if you will, like the tomato, shredded cheese and stuff, more of an Ohio taco, if you will, whereas instead of like the regular stuff. But okay, while this says my wife married me for the spice, I don't know what that means. We'll let that float out there. Yes, Mondays is all about culinary tangents. Okay, let's bring it back to Swedish meatballs. Will Isak be signed anytime soon? Or because Galley's theory, and I do buy that theory, that there's no huge incentive for Newcastle to sell, and they would not want him to play against Newcastle in match week 2.
Right. And because the window is open past the beginning of the season, there is theoretically a chance that he doesn't come in until right before then. He doesn't have time to be able to bet in and be able to play that game. But I think it's going to come down to their replacement for him more than anything, because we've seen their transfer window this summer so far has been rough, right? They keep getting turned down by players. Yeah. And any kind of link that comes up is quickly squashed, or the player ends up joining a bigger club like Liverpool. So it's something that I think they're just going to buy their time as much as they can so they can get as many resources in as possible. So I think The Isak deal, annoyingly, will not be done until the end of August. We're just going to be sitting here every day talking on the shows about when is the Isak deal happening, when is it Isak deal happening, and then maybe it won't even happen. I don't know. I think we're still in this really weird quagmire of a situation between what Newcastle want and how much Liverpool is willing to give. I think FSG have proved that if the money is there and they find the worth, that they will splash the cash. Now, the only question is how much is that to them, right? Is it 120? Is it 130? Is it 140? I don't know. It just, in my mind, it just still seems unbelievable to go after Ekitike and Isak in the same window and potentially spend 200 million on two guys that might be playing the same position this year. Now, this might be a long-term move for a post-Mo world, but for the next 2 years, it's a lot to invest into two guys that play the same position.
Yeah, I'm done predicting transfers this summer because, I mean, the Wirtz thing, I never thought that was going to happen early on, very early when we were like talking on the show over here. And once the Ekitike thing happened, I did not think, and I'm not that it has happened, but I did not think Isak thing would even be a possibility. The only thing is, has it not really put Newcastle? I feel like, when they started playing these Ekitike games with Newcastle, it ended up being very poorly played by Newcastle. Maybe they did not anticipate Ekitike to want Liverpool automatically. Maybe they thought, oh yeah, he'll want to come over here because he'll know that they're gonna go after Isak and stuff like that. But I think now you have kind of like put yourself in a situation as Newcastle. You gotta do something because his head is turned. Like him not traveling at all. Like going back to what you were talking about with like Lucho and stuff like that. I just don't think there's a way back for them. He has to go somewhere. I just don't see a scenario. I mean, we've seen it before where the player just goes back and still plays and stuff like that. But I just don't see it at this stage. Him staying at Newcastle and playing. The fans will take him back in a heartbeat. I don't think there would be a lot of, hard feelings or anything like that. A couple of goals and all will be forgotten. But do you see a scenario where he does not move? Which, if he doesn't move, it kind of helps our negotiating hand because obviously they got to sell him. He doesn't want the Saudi move. That doesn't leave a lot of clubs.
It doesn't. And unless someone is willing to come in and offer their asking price, then they're not going to necessarily want to sell them. And that's why they're probably going to hold off as long as they can, because they're going to want to meet some sort of evaluation that is fair to them, that we also find is fair too, right? So I think ultimately there isn't a world where he stays at Newcastle, because this not going out on tour and then having the team come back, and I know that their teammates, they may get over that kind of thing, but I think there's just too much in that locker room at that point to get past. And not coming from experience, because Lord knows, we've never been in a situation professionally where we could be in a locker room like that and understand how those feelings go. But there's got to be something said about locker room cancers that start very small, that spread bigger. I think you look at a team like Man United, where they didn't necessarily have a bunch of bad apples, so to speak, to begin with, but it was like little bad seeds here and there. And those seeds just spread. And once they spread, they kind of got everywhere. And you don't want that same sort of situation happening, especially when you're a club that is back on the rise where you want to be, right? You're not a club that's meddling in the middle of the table anymore. You're playing Champions League football. You're going to want to be able to attract players who want to play Champions League football too.
Yep.
And honestly, it's not a good sign if your best player maybe best player, maybe not. I think Bruno probably is their best player overall, in my opinion. But when your best forward and your best attacking player doesn't want to play for the club, that's a big statement to make for other players who may want to be looking at maybe joining that team.
That's a good point. I always go back to, when we were talking about the Konate thing, I think players probably, I would think, they're already having trouble. Like you said, they've gone after a lot of players that went a different direction and did not sign with Newcastle and stuff. But I think there's a lot to be said about how a player treats and handles situations with their current players So you kind of go, I mean, what is that website? There's a website, I can't remember the freaking name now, where you can kind of go and research the company that you're applying for, or you're going to start working for. Glassdoor, is that what the website is? Where like it's basically ex-employees reviewing it. I think that stuff is important because I'm pretty sure it's Glassdoor. Somebody Google this and double check, but I'm pretty sure that's the
Oh,
website
Glassdoor.
where
Yeah.
yeah, right. Okay. So it's kind of like that. I feel like, like people would be affected by that, like potential signings. As Newcastle, you're already having trouble bringing people in. They're going all over the place except you. Last thing you want is like a really poorly handled Isak situation to kind of like add to that, and it's going to be even more difficult to kind of do. So I think it's in their interest to make this thing kind of like get resolved as soon as possible. But I do agree, like with what Gally's saying. I just don't know if they would want us to trot out Isak out there in match day 2 against them. I mean, God forbid if they score against, if he scores against them and stuff like that. God forbid for Newcastle's perspective, that could be like a major shit show. Jared is in the house. He went to Jared's. Realism Jared, what's going on, man? Good morning. And yes, like he says, like, subscribe, share. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. Like goes a long way. Even if you have already subscribed, it does go a long way, and obviously sharing. But yeah, you'll be amazed how powerful those likes and obviously your guys' comments and stuff like that as well. So the United, I don't think that's the problem for Newcastle. I think, Chelsea aren't even entertaining it. I don't know if he's entertaining Chelsea. United move is not a whole lot different than a Saudi move at this stage in terms of being able to win soon. And they're not even going to offer Saudi money. So I can kind of see like why he wouldn't even consider him. That's the problem to me, is Newcastle's biggest issue. They don't even have different clubs that they can have them battle each other and say, I'll do 110, I'll do 120 and stuff like that. If we get Isak, what is your forecast for the price we get him for? And I guess what would you be comfortable with? And you froze again. You would think the Newcastle, Polish Princess Newcastle, would have a lot better Wi-Fi and connection. But, when there's so many butlers sharing the Wi-Fi, I think he's kind of like losing his connection at the same time. Chelsea cheat codes, selling players. Yeah, I mean, that's the way, right? With their connections and stuff like that. That's usually like the how they get out of things. But you would think Newcastle will be doing some of that as well. 120 British pounds sterling, not including add-ons. That's the guess, or that's what we're comfortable with? I mean, I guess like that's another thing, right? Like, what are we comfortable with? I guess goes back to, it's not our money, but what would be considered like a good deal? See, like Boom Shanka says, good morning, by the way, sir. I would not go over 120. I think that's where I'm at, actually. I would not go over 120 as well. Because we forget that, when we did the Ekitike thing, and like I say, I'll admit it, I figured the moment Ekitike walked in through this door, the whole Isak rumors I thought would be walking out that door. That didn't happen. Oh, Wilder is raising you a penny. No, he said he will not go over it. So your offer is been denied. But no, like, I think it's I like the auction we got going. It's better than the secret sauce conversation we had going earlier in the chat. So there is that. But anyway, when we were talking about the Ekitike versus Isak thing, I mean, the Isak injury concern was there, and I was happy with the Ekitike deal over it because I basically felt like we got Ekitike, we got our center forwards for less money, still had money to spend, and we kind of knew Diaz would be leaving. In my head, that was like maybe money that you could use towards Rodrigo and stuff like that. What is up with the Wi-Fi connection in that castle? Tell the butlers to get off air. Say, when I'm on a show, nobody should be sharing the Wi-Fi. So what was the price that you're comfortable with? Matt says, because it's not our money, I think it gets down for 135. Why do we care? I think we care in the long run, right? Okay, go ahead. Why do we care?
Yeah. Well, okay. First off, is the sound okay? Because I had to just move everywhere, and
no, actually, this is good.
To make sure.
You will have to explain to us the stuff on the wall behind you, but aside from that, we're good.
I can't.
Is Michelle
I
there?
have
Yeah. Okay, go
I
ahead.
have no idea what happened in this room. This is my first time here in months. Okay, but we do have to care, even if it's not our money, because that money is used as our transfer budget. So if we're going to shell out 135 instead of, let's say, 115, that's 20 million that could go in a different direction. That could plug up a hole there where we need somewhere,
Yeah.
right? I mean, we need a center back, right? We need another forward. We need more than just a big marquee striker up front. So it's going to cost more than just 120, 125, 130 million dollars to still get what we need. So I understand that it's not our money, but there's still a level of they're only going to spend so much. And if saving 15, 20 means investing it that 15, 20 somewhere else that's going to help out the depth of the squad, then I'd rather do that than potentially overpay on a guy who has some fitness issues, who has had some fitness issues over the course of his career. I love Isak. I think he's the second best striker, but if you can't play him regularly, that's a lot of money to invest in the guy.
Yeah. I mean, Mess is, like he's not going to get down for 115, but I mean, and that's where I'm going with, right? Like if we are able to do this summer because of smarter decisions and good deals done in the past, and they'll probably do in the future, kind of a deal. I mean, if you overspent 15, 20, yes, it's never our time, but if you spend 15 there and 20 there extra that you maybe shouldn't, then you don't end up with a summer like this. And I think that's like the biggest thing for me. And I do think it affects how we look at things. I mean, if we went and got Ekitike, let's say for 200, right? It's still not our money, but everybody will be like, holy cow, 200 for, I mean, we know, like, sadly, we probably follow this way too closely to know what is a good deal, what is not, and stuff. Obviously, there's always risk involved in a high value player and high price player, but we kind of know what is good value and stuff like that. And you do want that so that, you can do more moves. You can kind of keep accumulating that money. I think they've shown that it's not like the Glazers or something like that, where they're not really here to milk the club. The club's value increasing automatically increases their wealth as far as FSG is concerned. I think they're more geared towards that as opposed to, what the Glazers have done and just earning interest from their loans to the club and stuff like that. And we're finding out this summer that, we kind of like everybody questioned the last 3, 4, 5 summers is, yeah, they're not shy about spending money. They really don't care. So, no, I do not agree with that at all. Boom says we certainly need center backs. I think he says injury report is a bit of a myth, to be honest. He said games. I don't know if it's as concerning, but let me ask you that then. I think, at least as far as I'm concerned, when you spend 120 for Isak, or like, let's say even like 125, 130, whatever. I'm not as worried, and the injury thing is not as concerning because Ekitike is here as well. If Ekitike was not here and you put all your eggs on Isak basket for 130, I think I'd be a bit more paranoid, and I would worry more because I worry as a lifestyle.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think a lot of concerns when it comes to fitness also go hand in hand with the depth of the club. If you feel like your club is in a good position with depth where an injury won't derail your entire season, you're going to feel a lot better about having a player that has had X amount of injuries come in because, if something happens to this player, we still have the depth to do that. I think we've had some issues in the past, especially at the 6, we've had issues at center back where we were worried that if one of these guys goes down, there isn't going to be another player to step up and plug in the hole the way that you would want them to be able to plug that hole. Because there is a difference between depth and then the quality of your depth too. You can't just have a body for the sake of having a body. You need someone there who is able to play the position, who you can trot out there and be comfortable knowing that they can take care of that position. So yeah, I think with Ekitike, it does lessen the worry of the Isak injury proneness. And I don't know if it's necessarily a myth. Obviously, I don't agree with that because I think a lot of his injuries are muscle related lingering kind of things. I know there was one, it was a broken toe, something along those lines, where that was his longest injury. But a lot of it has been just little muscly things. And sometimes that stuff adds up. But overall, it's just a lot. We're talking about a record signing. And anytime you put that kind of word behind anything, you're breaking records, it does add risk. And that goes without saying for me.
Yeah, that's fair. And Tony says, look what happened to City when Rory went down. Yeah, I mean, a lot can go wrong very fast, really. And, it can have a huge impact. I think the center back thing is, like, I am not buying, like Wildhead says, unless another Van Dijk turns up for sale, I think Slot will bank money January next summer. I don't know. Are you buying it while he's selling? Because I'm not. I think he's just saying it to help the market and stuff like that. But I don't think when he says Gravenberch can play back there too, and Endo can play back there too and stuff, I think that's just him talking, because yes, he can, but we also saw Fabinho and Hendo back there too. And he even said, like, obviously we want like Gravenberch at the 6, because we know that shit has not worked before. We've seen it. You can get away with it for a game and stuff like that, but not for an extended period, because you can't rotate people over. You start like dropping in performance.
Yeah, it's just the most diplomatic answer that he could have given. I know that in times of desperate need, he will throw Endo or Gravenberch there. We saw that last year, right? I mean, when need be, they were back there. But that is definitely not something that we want to rely on. So it's just a matter of time before we get someone in. The question is going to be, is it going to be someone on a more senior level like Guéhi, or is it going to be someone that's more of an understudy, that's going to be the understudy of Van Dijk or the understudy of Konate while he's still here for another year? That's going to be the toughest thing. And I think what makes it worse is the uncertainty behind Konate. If there was an extension there, I think we would be a little less worried. But there is the fitness part of it too. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the next couple of weeks. Because I think now that the dominoes are starting to fall a little bit, we're going to see the pieces go where they need to go, hopefully.
I'm going with this. Smoke Show says they're buying Guéhi and they will invest heavy next summer to replace Konate if they haven't reached an extension. And I'm going with that too. I mean, he did say, yes, to be fair, he did say we have not replaced. He confirmed that yes, we have not replaced them yet. So I do think somebody will be coming to that. N90 in the house. Good morning, sir. Welcome to the show. So Guéhi, Isak, and we're closing shop. Are you okay with that? Are you content with that? Because there's a lot of talk about, I don't know if I'm buying it personally. I know people see like preseason and they kind of like it. And there's a lot to like watching the kid play, like with Rio being like, Rio is replacing Diaz, behind Gakpo and stuff. First of all, are you buying that? Like, do you think he's going up there, coming up to be the backup?
Not this year. I think there's still another year before we see that. I think we'll see him more often this year, obviously, than we did last year. But I don't think he's ready to be the 5th or 6th choice. That's going to be on the team sheet every week as an option. I think, we might see him make the bench for maybe 7 to 11 Premier League games, barring any injuries. But I don't think he's someone that we're going to see too often. And then as far as your question about closing shop after Guéhi and Isak, the answer relies on who else is here. Like, have we sold Nunez? Have we sold Elliott? Have we sold Chiesa? Yes. Okay. Then no.
No,
then
I mean, that's me. That's my uncontrolled nodding, hopeful nodding for Nunez.
Okay.
More than anything.
Well,
I can, especially if Isak counts. Before Isak, I could have seen a world where Nunez stays as Ekitike's backup, and I think I will be semi-okay with that. I'm definitely not buying the Ekitike replacing Diaz thing, because that's the same thing we said with Nunez. Oh, he can play on the left. That's like saying Gravenberch is going to replace Konate. Yeah, being able to play there and being, reliable is, or like a consistent person to play in that role is very different. Two center backs is, I'm not in agreement with that one. I think if you get Gay, I mean, I guess we don't know how bad Gomez injury is, but if it's just like like a couple of weeks, a month, or whatever, I think we do go with Van Dijk, Konate, Gahey, Gomez in parentheses, and then you can say Gravenberch. Do you think they will sign two center backs? Because I just don't see it, and I don't even know who's out there. I know there's a lot of talk about that Cresswell kid.
I think what you just said answers that question. I think there was so much hesitation and so much worry when you said Van Dijk, Konate, Gahey, and then in parentheses Gomez, then Gravenberch. Yeah, we need another one. We need two. We said that before Kwanzaa left, potentially, that we still needed two. So, yeah, I think we still need two. Granted, and you don't want Nalo in, that at least for you don't want to see him anywhere near the pitch. See?
No, so, man, I hate to be like so against this kid, but I have not seen anything that would make me say, oh, yeah, we got something here. I just don't. If people do in an environment where he's not playing against other kids, and even then I see some highlights where I'm like, holy cow. So yeah, I just don't see a world that there's somebody in the youth team coming up to be that person. And fifth choice, see, I like if that's the case, yeah, it goes back to what you're saying, Matush. I would not be happy with that scenario.
No, and I know we've beaten this horse to death. I feel like I say this, or we talk about this every other week on this. It's also a lot harder than a video game to go out and convince a player to come in to play here, potentially as just a backup, when they could be a starter for 80% of other teams out there. So fair. You also can't bring in a player that has the quality to start in the Premier League week in, week out, and convince them to sit behind Van Dijk, convince them to sit behind Konate. So you're going to need a little bit of a project signing. But with the rate of Gomez's fitness, with with us not wanting Gravenberch being a choice for center back, with Nalo not necessarily being there quality-wise, you're going to have to bring in someone outside of Gahey as well, but not someone that is senior level quality, but someone that is a level above Nalo, but a level below Gahey, level below Konate, level below Gomez, just fit. So that's going to be the tough thing is finding that kind of, and I think someone said in the comments, Hato maybe would have been a great signing there because he's got the versatility to play on the left side, left back and left center back, as far as maybe just versatility for the left back as well. But we've got three left backs, so what do we care?
I was going to say that's a tough sell.
Left backs.
You can compete with Costas in terms of who's going to bring Mo his coffee in the morning, kind of a deal. But speaking of, by the way, let's finish with this. And 90 says, just sub. Thank you, sir. Yes, if you have not subbed yet, please do. If you haven't hit the thumbs up yet, please do that too. But let me finish with this because you brought it to the left back thing. Last week, when I heard the rumors, I was kind of happy because I was like, oh, that means he's staying. The vice captain thing came up, and Slot was talking about, like, they have made a decision, but they're not going to announce it. But there's a lot of people who are eligible and all that kind of stuff. Who is your vice captain?
God, this is going back to a conversation we had, a month ago. I think it's going to be McAllister. That's my vote. I think that's who I would give it to, because you look so surprised.
I did look surprised because I mean that was probably third or fourth or fifth in my list of if you asked me, well, give me some candidates, it would probably be the fourth or fifth name I would throw out.
Okay, so Mo, Ali, Robbo, McAllister, Soboslai. That's the list, right?
Robertson, Mo, Ali, then probably McAllister. I don't know if you put Soboslai in that thing. I know he's the captain of his national team and stuff like that, but I don't know. While this has to be a player starting every game, but Milner was not I think that's not necessarily true because Milner was not starting every game. Because when your captain is pretty much starting every game, you don't have to have the vice out there every game as well. So he's giving it to Mecca, but he thinks it's Salah.
We talked about the importance of the consistency of the same voice in the locker room. So in my head, I'm thinking Mo's going to be gone in 2 years, most likely, right? Ali hopefully is not gone in 2 years. So, but again, he's getting a little bit more up there with age. So you're going to put it to someone who you see as potentially being part of the team for 5, 6, 7 years. Now, I know that there's concerns that McAllister might leave to go to Real Madrid, because that's something that we could definitely see happening. But part of my reasoning was because of the possible longevity of the club and the overall teammate feelings. And McAllister seems like a pretty good glue guy, especially when it comes to being around all the South American guys. Like, it feels like he was always around Nunez, Diaz, Ali, but he's also really good with the rest of the guys too. So I think that's why my vote goes to. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, we can definitely say we're not going to be surprised if it's any of Allison, Mo, Bravo, right? So I'm not going to say that, but I that's why I think it'll go McAllister, just because I think of the longevity. I think of just the glue that he is.
I think you just don't go to McAllister over Mo unless Mo says, unless it's with Mo's blessing, if you will. Unless Mo says what you're saying and says, hey, the future is more important, kind of a deal, and I'll do my leading anyway. Like, I'll do my own thing as a leader, what I'm doing right now. Same thing goes with Robertson. If I saw Robertson as the vice, that would make me happy, because I can go help Costa start packing, I would think, right? But I think that's what's kind of... See, like, that's why it doesn't sound mad to me, honestly, Alex, because I do think it does make sense for him, Mo, and I think Robo would be before Mo, if you ask Mo as well, to be honest with you. But I think it really depends on kind of like those guys a little bit, where if they said, you know what, yeah, we'll do our thing anyway, you pick a captain for the future. Because we've known that giving the vice captain to somebody does not guarantee that they're going to stick around and sign an extension. I think we just found that out last year, right? And never understood. That was the only freaking reason, probably. I'm not going to mention names. We made it 58 minutes over here. But I do think, like, you know, if those guys say, yeah, that's fine, we'll do our thing, you go with the future. But otherwise, I would think Robertson is the natural choice for me, at least. Just because
I think that's fair.
Because when they ask these guys about, like, you know, betting in the new guys and stuff like that, I would think Wilder says, yeah, give it to Konate. Or like, hey, you'll be a vice captain. What do you think? And stuff. And then he'll go play next to the other bozo afterwards. So
I think this could be one of the most least important things to argue about.
What?
I don't think
How dare you?
I don't think it holds that much weight.
You don't think so?
Not
I think
in this
it's
team.
one of those things that might not hold weight, but that can go. I think we probably, maybe not all of us, but most of us have been on a team where we said, how the fuck is this guy a captain?
Yes, but I think it depends on the team. If your team is where it's like this club, with the characters at this club, I don't think anyone is going to get so butthurt that they down tools and they force an exit because they weren't given an armband, right? If this is United, sure, I could see that happening, right? That could really sour the locker room. But I think because of the personalities and the characters and the recruiting that we've done to get these kinds of guys in this team, I don't think it's going to matter.
Ozan says, is it less important than a regular pierogi versus a dessert pierogi? Nothing is more important than a pierogi in the world of Matush.
I was going to say probably more important, because all those pierogi are great. So there's no reason to debate those. They're all good.
I mean, that's another thing. Like, we don't know how long Ali is going to be here. That's another one. So just give it to Nunez. Yeah, okay. He'll throw it at the post. But yeah. But it is Monday. What is the plans in the kingdom?
Try and figure out this internet situation. son.
Oh, that's a good one. I don't know. I think you guys are probably right in some ways. I do understand that. I don't think Szoboszlai needs to be led or whatever, but I think we're kind of like undermining what these guys do as captains. It's not only on match day and stuff like that. Like, they have a lot of responsibilities off the pitch in terms of like organizing, disciplining the squad, and all that kinds of stuff. Milner's fines were famous and stuff. So there's a lot aside from, if that guy gets a red card, I'm going to carry the band kind of a deal going on. There's a lot of stuff, additional responsibilities behind the scenes. So you might have guys like Robertson, Mo, and stuff already doing some of those things, even though they do not have the title. I think it goes back to what you're saying. There's a lot of leaders, natural leaders there. That's great. But I think it would be one of those things that I can see in the past go wrong. When you give the title to somebody, you irk two people. Those two people irk another five that are close to them and stuff like that. And you can kind of start something negative. To me, that's why it's kind of important that everybody is on the same page when something like that happens. But yeah, I mean, maybe I'm overvaluing it too. Maybe I played under some shitty captains over the years. And like I say, I understand, the levels we played at are different than, like how Szoboszlai handles a leader, a captain, and stuff like that, because this is freaking national team's captain. But I do think, there's a value to keeping the peace and having everybody on the same page. That's why I kind of like value the decision more than anything else. But it is Monday, grooming day at the Polish household.
If I can somehow groom the internet, I will. We'll
yes,
find
no
out
shit.
No idea what's going on. I'm just screwed. I don't know what to do. If anyone works in internet or IT or whatever,
works in the internet, I think is all we need to know about why you have Wi-Fi problems. Anybody work in the internet? Yeah, please call me.
I'm actually 60 years old at heart.
I will be working on the internet, 7 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Eastern tonight with the Monday Night Boys. Do not forget, I do forget to, I can't over ask this, and I will not. I forget about likes and subscribes and stuff like that, but I will not forget about this as much. Please, please, please help spread the words about the fundraiser. And less than 2 weeks, Gally, Bickler, and myself will be on air 24 hours freaking straight. No sleep, no nothing. So please. See, there you go. You don't need anybody who works in the internet. Just unplug it, wait 15 seconds, plug in. It is again, big up to our friend Brandon Chase, who's actually the guy behind our logo as well. Not literally, but he's the one who designed it. There's also like 2 other designs on there. So you can purchase them. You can do additional. We'll also have it in our silent auction as well. You can get it autographed by us bozos. But most importantly, right now, what we're also looking for is sponsors for the hours. We have 12 hours up for grabs. $100 to $500 is all it takes. Sponsor an hour. Get an hour assigned. Let us know when you're available. We'll give you the hour. Come on air with us during your hour. Plug your business if you're working in the internets or whatever it is that you're doing. Or let's just talk Liverpool like we always do. Try to keep us awake, whatever it takes. But most importantly, all the money goes to the 23 Foundation. So do join us then. And we will probably do something. I will work on that. I know it's ridiculous right now with tariffs and stuff like that, unfortunately. But I'm trying to see if I can work something. What we're doing is we're getting a lot of like autograph books, for example, from the UK, like Mr. Sefton himself, Jeff Golding, Keith Salmon and stuff. Instead of having those gentlemen pay a ton of shipping and ship it to us, everything is going to the foundation. So along with the jerseys and stuff, the only thing I have in my right here next to me is the signed Ali glove that was donated by the gang in Edmonton over there. So, but they will be sending everything together. So I'm thinking maybe we do something else where we send it over there. If I sponsor 1 hour, will you? You know what? You got it. You sponsor 1 hour. It will be really short.
Is there enough content to go for at least 10 minutes?
You know what? Just because he's Turkish, he's getting abuse. I swear. I don't even know Ozan Kabak is bad. He had like a ridiculous injury right before the Euros, and he was probably going to be a starter at the Euros, to be honest with you. I don't even know if he went back up there. Let me throw the link again up on popular request by Sir Z over here. Yeah, if you want to go and take a look, our regular merch is there as well, but the first 3 items on there you see are for the foundation, and then you have the options to do additional and all that kind of stuff. So we'll probably be wearing them. We're gonna take a bunch of them to Carragher's as well. So if you're gonna be at, if you're in New York and if you want to join us, we will be at Carragher's for 24 hours straight. You'll be kicked out, so they'll be locking us in overnight. But aside from that, you can come on, see us, grab a shirt right there, and get it signed and hang out with us and all that kind of stuff. But we'll wrap it up for today. While Mitush finds something to do with his internet, I'll get some work done and I'll be back 7 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Eastern with those 2 bozos we mentioned that I will do the 24-hour podathon with. Until then, have an awesome week this week. Thanks a lot for the chats, the follows, the likes, and all that kind of stuff. Always appreciated. And we'll see you guys tonight. Take care.